I guess in my almost 25 years of making websites, I never even thought of this. So I'm curious. I'm curious what your thoughts would be on this. And this is a little bit long, but they're talking about pre-making a website for a future website and making some of the SEO in advance. So I'm working on a website for a new company. We're still many months away from opening. I'm wondering if it makes sense for me to get a head start on establishing some SEO for my domain. My plan is essentially to establish an SEO-friendly URL structure and sitemap, build a website that follows that structure using WooCommerce or similar, and populating the store with items that are all marked as sold out and not available. Most pages will largely be placeholders, but the blog will have some relevant content. When the store is closer to opening, I'll redirect the domain to a new server using the fully functional e-commerce solution, following the exact same structure and sitemap and containing largely similar content from WooCommerce, but obviously different HTML. Is this a smart plan? Are there any unintended consequences that I should be aware of?
I would not do that, honestly. Again, go back to Google and your users, okay? And one of the questions we talk about a lot throughout the different modules in All Stars is this something that you would do if the search engines didn't exist? And the answer to that's no. You're doing this because of search, right? You have to think, does this help your users? If a user finds your website, let's just say it works and they find your website and everything's sold out, right? They're going to get frustrated. They're going to go, you're not going to create a user that likes your stuff, that likes your store. I would not do this. I would much rather you go ahead, put up a coming soon page, a little bit about you, sign up for our newsletter, maybe get information, be notified when we're, a little bit about you guys, maybe on a homepage, kind of a generic page, but you're in maintenance mode. Can't get to anything else. It'd be one thing to start doing some like directory listings, kind of get the listings back to your website with a one-page website. People do that also. It'd be fine to get, like, if it's a local business, to get your Google business profile going and having a one-page website, that'd be fine. But the idea of trying to game the system is what you're trying to do, right? You're trying to create. Now, I didn't quite catch the whole thing about have placeholders and then switch over. I wasn't sure what they were doing there. Like, can you maybe say that again? Like,
I think what he's saying is he knows what the structure of the website will be like once the e-commerce store goes live, and he wants to make all those pages and just kind of have dummy pages there for when they go live, I believe is what they're saying.
Yeah, again, I wouldn't do it. It doesn't help your users at all. Okay. Google's not going to show you for this. Google looks at your entire site. They look overall at what you are, what you have to say, what your content is, how big your content is. They look at the speed. They look at all that. If your site's not ready for prime time, don't put it out. Just don't do it. Again, help your users. Make sure that your users are served, and ignore the search. You should be writing content for your users. You should be creating content for your users. You should be thinking, the questions I tend to ask would be, like I said, would you do that if the search engines didn't exist? And if the answer is no, then don't do it. It just doesn't make sense. A second question would be, hey, would you be comfortable explaining to a competitor or to a representative at Google what you're doing, right? Like, you're trying to game the system. Would you be, hey, well, I want to set up a couple of dummy pages and just a placeholder pages so that I can get the SEO off the ground? Well, that doesn't help your users. It's not for users. It's not a best practice. I would not do it. But like I said, you certainly could go out and begin to create maybe links or get listed in directories. You could certainly begin to start creating some partners that might want to link to that you can link back to occasionally. Maybe start sponsoring things locally. Those things can all be done. You can go register your business with the Better Business Bureau or go join a Chamber of Commerce. I mean, you could do that, and you should do that anyway, right? I mean, let's face it. Before you had the internet, people were joining chambers of commerce. People were joining, the local Better Business Bureau or other, network marketing kind of businesses. Those are great. Find where your competitors are, find what they're doing, find where they're linked from, find what things they're doing and do what they're doing. You want to be wherever you, I mean, if you remember the days of yellow pages, I know, Sean, you and I are ancient these days, but before you had internet, you had a big fat giant book, right, of yellow page, which are ads for everybody that had a business in that town. And if you remember, I remember looking at like a lot of the businesses were like, A HVAC, they were like 5 A's. Why? They wanted to be the first one in the list because it was alphabetical. Okay. But getting in those directories was still a good idea, right? Getting in them was good because you're putting yourself out where your competitors are. Why did people put AAA as the name of the business? Because they wanted to be above their competitors. But what are they doing? They're getting in the book. They're getting in the places where their competitors are. So if you find your competitors are in these various locations and see that they're getting linked to from other places, get yourself linked there as well. See what you can do to get linked from those places. Put a press release out about your business going live. Or about your new website, and maybe contact your local newspaper about something. Do something for the community. Sponsor something. Be a sponsor in the community somewhere and get a link on a sponsored page. This is way more effective than trying to game the system with no content, sold out content, no information. And then you're going to wind up switching to a different domain or a different URL. So, I don't know. It's just build the site, and when it's ready, release the site. In the meantime, have a one-page or homepage, says, coming soon, tells them who you are, what you do, ask them to join so you get an announcement when the site goes live, maybe even give them a deal for being one of the first ones in before you launch. Give them a reason, give your users a reason to come back, to follow you, to be a part of your world. Focus on the users. Forget the search engines. The search engines are going to pick it up anyway. But if you start screwing around and you get it wrong or do something wrong, you might wind up putting yourself in a black hole before you get started. So I'd be really, really careful about doing anything that you suggest like that.
I always love that moment, like when your boss says, "Okay, we're ready, we can go live," and he's like, "Release the site," and you make the change, and then everything goes live. Like that, it's always a great feeling.